Hey everyone, Chris here on VarsityGaming. Today I'm going to be doing another rant video. It's actually not been that long since I did one. I just did one for the whole reusing weapons thing. But today we're going to talk about a different topic, something else that came with Phantom Sight. Much like the reused weapons, it is the 3-round rotation. For those of you who don't play ranked or haven't really been playing much since Phantom Sight, they did change one big part about ranked, and it's that when you're playing, you go 3 rounds on defense and 3 rounds on offense, or vice versa, depending on what side you start on. As opposed to the previous season and all the seasons before it, where it was 1 round offense, 1 round defense, etc. And there's been a lot of commotion from the community about this, and I've asked my Twitch chat multiple times, I asked Twitter what people think about this, and a lot of people think it's unfair and that it favors teams depending on what side they start on. And today I'm going to talk about why that's completely bullshit. I was originally going to take screenshots of arguments I found on Twitter or on Twitch and show them to you guys, but I don't want anyone to get hunted down for it or made fun of for it. So I'm just going to put it into my own words and then put it up on the screen and talk about why this statement is wrong. So first up, the biggest thing that a lot of people are trying to say is that 3-round rotation is unfair for maps that are more attacker or defender sided depending on which side you start on. So we'll use an example for this. Hereford Base is notoriously a defender-sided map. And people are arguing that if you start on defense, you're going to win the match because you started on defense, when ultimately that doesn't make any sense. In this example, the defending team statistically should win all 3 rounds on defense because it's a defender-sided map. That means that halfway through the match, it's going to be a 3-0. Now when you swap sides, if it's an evenly matched team, the team that is now defending should win 3 rounds in a row, meaning that the match will tie up again at 3-3. And then when it goes into overtime, that's when it becomes a crapshoot of whoever gets defense first, then they win. But that was the same thing in Burnt Horizon. The only difference in Burnt Horizon and all seasons before it is that if you started on defense, it would just go 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and then crapshoot in overtime. So there is zero difference between then and now, other than you win 3 in a row as opposed to 1-1-1-1. So there really is no advantage to going attacking or defending first in a 3-round rotation. And ultimately, if, say, you get attack first on Hereford and then you get shut out 4-0, you are probably going to get shut out 4-0 regardless of whether there was 3-round rotation or not. If you lose a defense on a defense-sided map, it just means that the other team is better than you. The only difference is that maybe in the old system, you could squeeze out a 4-1 as opposed to a 4-0. But that would be the only difference. And whether it is in the old system or the new system, you lose the first defending round, but your team is attacking first. So in the new system, since it's a defender-sided map, the enemy team would win 3 rounds, and it'd be 3-0. You swap sides, like I said, you lose the first defending round, you lose 4-0. Now the only difference would be in the old system, it would go the enemy team wins the first defense, so it's 1-0, and your team loses the first defense, so it's 2-0, and then they win the next defense, so it's 3-0. Now let's just say for the sake of argument, you somehow manage to squeeze out a win, it's 3-1. Since the enemy team is better and they were going to win the third defense anyways, they now win the match 4-1. So ultimately your team still loses, the enemy team was just better. You're not changing anything by having 1-round rotation other than maybe squeezing out 1 round to make it a little more dignified for yourself. So not much has changed there. Now moving on, there's something that a lot of people are saying is that they get demotivated to play once they see the score be 0-3. It doesn't matter whether it's a defender-sided map and they went defense first. As soon as they say 0-3, they just kind of give up on the match and like, whatever, fuck this, let's move on. And if you're feeling the way that a lot of people feel, then that's your own problem. That's not an issue with 3-round rotation. Personally, for me, when I see the score 0-3, I don't think about it. I just say, okay, whatever, we'll keep playing. Especially if it's on 3-round rotation, I just say, they won their defense, now we gotta win our defense. If you're letting it get to your head, and that you're losing because of that, then that just means that the enemy team is the better team. It's not because they got defense first. It's just because you let it get to your head, and you would demotivate yourself regardless of 3-round rotation or not. And what a lot of people don't realize is that seeing the score be 0-3 is the equivalent of it being 1-2 in the previous season. If the defenders win 3 rounds in a row and you're down 0-3, that's the same thing as in Burnt Horizon, you being down 1-2 because that means you had 1 defense round you won and the other 2 defense rounds they won. So then you just have to win your 2 and they have to win their 1 and it's going to be 3-3. It's the exact same thing, and I don't understand why people don't really comprehend that. But I can reiterate this or put it into a different example multiple times. It's going to be the same thing. It does not change the outcome of the score. If it's a mental thing, that's your own fault. That's going to happen regardless of 3-round rotation. That's something you have to work on personally. But we'll move on to not necessarily people's complaints, but talking about why 3-round rotation is important. The first one is the most obvious, is that 3-round rotation makes sites see more play. Let's use a different example. Oregon. It's notorious for being a pretty defender-sided map. You have the laundry basement site and the kids' room second floor site being the two best and easiest sites on the map. And then kitchen is a pretty good site, tower's pretty awful, but it can still be done. Now let's say back in Burnt Horizon you get defense first, you win basement, easy. Then on the next round you manage to squeeze out an attack win, now you're up 2-0. You go to the kids' room, another easy site, win 3-0. Now all you have to do is just win one more attack and you're done. You don't have to go kitchen as long as you win your next attack. You can squeeze out a 4-0 without having to go one of the lesser viable sites. Now with 3-round rotation, you can't just sit on the best two sites and win. You have to use one of the less viable sites. And this is also good for the meta overall. It makes teams not stagnate. I know so many teams who have absolutely no strats lined up for kitchen site or tower site in Oregon because they're so used to only playing kids' room and basement, and that's it. Now with 3-round rotation, you're going to have to play one of the other two sites as long as you win your first two defense. So this is going to change up the meta. Teams are going to develop new strats around every single site, and then maybe we'll actually see a shift in what sites are better. Maybe someone's going to realize, oh my god, this is an amazing strategy we can pull off on kitchen, and since people don't normally play kitchen, it's going to be so easy to do because no one's going to know how to counter it. And that's going to shift the meta. An example that I can actually use from the other day is we were playing in a charity tournament, and one of the teams we were going up against had a different and unique setup on Coastline for Blue Bar and Sunrise. Now, I don't know about you guys, but on Coastline, I never attack Blue Bar and Sunrise, so I didn't really know how to approach it, and it really fucked with us. 3-round rotation is good for that. It changes up the meta, makes people approach maps differently, and have strats lined up for every site instead of just the top two, and then doing a crapshoot on the third and fourth one because they don't really know how to play them. So hopefully with this we'll actually see a huge variety in gameplay and not just stagnant, okay, they're going to go this site, and then you just know what they're going to do. It's going to be really good for spicing up the strats that we see. Now I'll move on to my last point. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to wrap it up with this point, is that 3-round rotation is incredibly important for pick and ban. The reason being is that since it's 3 rounds in a row, your bans actually mean something. If you're constantly switching sides every single round, you're not going to necessarily want to ban specific operators because it's going to mess up your strats. 3-round rotation actually vastly changes how people ban operators. If it were a 1-round rotation with pick and ban, a lot of people would not actually ban operators who are viable on certain sites for the map because they don't want to fuck up their chances of winning the next round. If you're attacking first on bank, you're not going to ban Mira in a 1-round rotation pick and ban match because you want to use Mira in the next round. Whereas if you're attacking first on bank, on 3-round rotation, you're going to ban Mira because you don't want to have the defending team have Mira for 3 rounds. Because Mira could be a huge game changer there, and you don't want the score to go down to 0-3, you want a fighting chance. And yes, you won't have Mira on your defending, but that doesn't matter, because then you're on equal footing. It basically just boils down to a lot of people will have more team-focused bans as opposed to selfish bans. With 1-round rotation, a lot of people would ban operators that really don't need to be banned just in order for them to keep other operators that they want. Meanwhile, with 3-round rotation, people will actually focus on banning operators that will have a huge impact on the meta of the game and will force teams to adapt. Oh, there is one more thing I want to add quickly before the end of the video, is that all the people I see commenting everywhere saying we need to change it to a 2-round rotation, those people are fucking idiots. That's all I want to say. 2-round rotation would completely change up rank because you would have to have more rounds. Otherwise, you'd have teams going 4 rounds on defense and only 2 rounds on attack. That makes no sense. So quit this bullshit of the whole change it to 2-round rotation. That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. But that is it for my rant. I tried to keep it quick and concise this time, and I hope you guys actually understood something. I know I've repeated myself a lot, but I'm just trying to get the point across that 3-round rotation is not a bad idea. The only ones who don't like it are the ones who get demotivated by score, or we're bad and we're going to lose the match anyways, but want to blame it on the fact that it's 3-round rotation. But that's it for my quick little rant. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.